What's up, boys? We are a couple of days away from trial by combat. Are you guys getting pumped?
Yeah,
I'm pretty
Yeah,
excited.
I'm ecstatic. I'm ready to go.
Josiah, we're gonna need you to bring the energy. I was kind of underwhelmed by Jackson and Ben's response to that a little bit.
I'm so nervous, bro.
Why are you nervous?
It's the best in the country. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be awesome, and I'm excited for some good rounds.
Are you more nervous about the 24-hour prep period, or just like the idea that it's the 16 best people, or something else? Like, what is making you most anxious?
It's just the nature of like doing a type of competition that I've never done before. So it's kind of like a trial and error aspect, except it's only that one chance that you get to do it. So just kind of figure everything out and take it slow and have fun with it. That's the goal.
Jackson, you did Gladiator, so you're sort of well, actually both of you did Gladiator. Josiah and Jackson. Do you guys feel like the Gladiator process sort of prepares you a little bit for what this is going to be like?
I think definitely a little bit, just wrapping your head around the type of content you have to write and like to do the round, because it really is so short. Like you get up for opening statements and all of a sudden it's closing arguments and the round's over. And to really wrap your head around both sides and doing everything definitely helps from having some Gladiator experience.
So you guys, Ben and Jackson, a couple of weeks ago, or more than that, a couple of months ago at this point, competed in our play-in. So you've actually gone through the 24-hour prep period. What was that like?
Go ahead, Ben. Looks like you have something to say.
Yeah, I did not know what I was walking into. Like me, Gabby, and Chance, my second chair and coach, we did a small prep the day before. So like we prepped everything and we tried to memorize content. And I thought it went pretty well. And then like the actual 24-hour prep for playing, I don't know if it was nerves or if it was like the threat of looming competition coming, but it was stressful, like more stressful than anything I've ever done in mock trial, more than round 4 at Orcs, more than a round at Nats. Like it was so much work, but I loved it. Like seeing the end product was incredible.
I definitely agree with what Ben said. I remember like talking with my coach about how we're gonna divide our 24 hours, and she was like, yeah, Ben just did it. He said it was really hard, like the hardest thing he's done in mock trial. And I was like, I mean, maybe he's right, but how hard can it really be? You have so much time. And then I got into it, and it is just that hard. There's nothing quite like it, and you never do have enough time. It's really tricky.
So Ben, you obviously won our plan and earned your spot in the 16. When your team did not qualify for nationals, we're very, very close, but we're one of the last teams out. When your team did not qualify, how much were you thinking about combat?
In the moment, not at all. To be honest, I mean, my best friends were on that team with me. That like last round at Orcs, like I was just thinking about, truthfully, like the last 4 years I had in mock trial and how incredible it was. Then when we got back from Arlington and I just like missed it. And that's when I started being like, okay, I might have one last chance to go. And then getting the plane invite, I was ecstatic. I was like, I have one last shot. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I'm going to put my whole, like everything into it. And it ended up working out. So I was really happy.
So, as of the time of this recording, yesterday, Mock Trial AP, the most trusted source other than WatchMock, obviously, in the AMTA community, came out with its power poll. And Ben, you were ranked number 4 in the power poll. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good. Thank the voters, I guess. It was I don't know. I'm glad that people think that I'm that good. I'm really excited to see if hopefully I can hold up to the hype. And if not, well, I tried, I guess.
We only see 1 to 6 in the power poll, but Josiah, you're not listed. Chip on your shoulder? Bulletin board material?
Not really. I mean, like, of course I don't know. I don't think I really have anything to say about it. I think the names on that list are the names that I would think of too. So it's like, that's awesome. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my best. That wasn't going to change before, and it's not going to change after.
Is it possible Emily is mock trial AP and orchestrated this whole thing to sort of like motivate you a little bit?
There's absolutely no way that that's possible. I mean, hey, maybe.
I want to ask Jackson and Ben, you guys a little bit more about the plan. How did you guys divide the labor that day?
We split it up as my second chair for the competition, or I guess my witness, was doing directs and kind of made demos that went along with the directs. And then I was on crosses. And then my coach was on statements, which didn't work great. Like we spent way too much time writing and we ended up with very little time for working on content and like memorizing really. So the way we've gone about it now is we just don't write closings much. My coach writes openings, I write crosses. Second chair will write directs. So it's similar, but a lot less time writing.
How about you, Ben?
Yeah, actually really, really similar to Jackson. We had pretty much the exact same breakdown. My coach wrote openings. My second chair wrote directs. And directs, we found out took like the most time to write. So I would do crosses and closings, and then we would all come together and we'd probably have like one or two, like one direct done. And then we just finish the rest of the content together, and it would get done a lot faster. And then we just went straight into practicing, memorizing, and prepping.
Jackson talked about some of the adjustments that he's going to make based on the way the play and prep went. Ben, it went pretty well for you. Are there any adjustments that you're going to make?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we're changing coming into combat. We are making sure that we are writing content as quickly as possible, because I don't know about you guys, but what makes me the most nervous is memorization, like getting all of that content down and like ready to be responsive and change pockets and do things differently based on what happens in the trial. So we're trying to reduce writing as much as possible to give us as much time to memorize. So that's the biggest thing. It's like making sure we maximize our writing time to ensure that we have more than enough time to comfortably memorize and practice the material.
Writing quickly is definitely the name of the game in the 24-hour prep period. And the advice that I have for people who do this or Top Gun is you really don't want to change too much about the way you prepare. You just got to do everything way faster. And you don't spend a ton of time during the semester relative writing content relative to the time you spend performing it. And the breakdown is no different in the 24 hours. You just need to, it needs to be the same proportion. So I think that's totally right. Jackson, when you're going to be our alternate next weekend, when you were offered the alternate spot, was it a tough decision or was it an easy one?
It was an easy decision. I remember getting the call from Justin, and he was like, "You can take time if you need it." And I was like, "No, I'm sure I'll take the spot." It's not obviously exactly what I wanted. I'd love to be in the 16 this year, but I'm so excited to be the alternate this year, and to have a spot next year is fantastic. I'm really excited.
One of the only sophomores ever to participate in the tournament, whether it be as an alternate or as a competitor. That's got to be exciting, right? That's an accolade.
Yeah. I joined the ranks of me and Charlie Stock, I think.
Well, I mean, Sydney Gaskins was a sophomore.
Oh,
Travis Harper.
She was competing though, right? Or was
I mean, alternates or competitors. Sydney, Travis.
Travis.
Abby Branham, I think.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. So that is a pretty big group. What are you going to do during the prep day?
So we're going to do the whole preparation just because you don't get a ton of opportunities to do something like this. And I definitely want to be the top of the AP Power Poll next year. But after that, we don't plan on memorizing unless something happens with one of the competitors and I actually have to compete. And, we'll get a nice dinner while the others are stressing and see the city.
So are you sort of hoping someone gets really sick?
I would never do something like that. Never in a million years.
Like maybe like push someone like in front of traffic on your way into
the No, I'd never be so heavy-handed with it.
Because like UCLA's campus last year, like you're in LA, it's like UCLA's campus is very much like a college campus. Mm-hmm. But we are at the Trial Advocacy Institute, which is a beautiful building, but it's like in the middle of the city. So gotcha. There's traffic is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And you could hurt someone if you wanted to. I'm not encouraging you to do that, but
right.
The option's there.
Okay.
Is this a case teaser? Is that what the case is going to be about? Someone pushing someone into? Is that why you're thinking about it so much, Bill? You
Could
can't.
be.
I
All I'm
understand.
saying is, all I heard Jackson say was, "I wouldn't be so heavy-handed." That doesn't sound like a denial to me.
It's possible, yeah. But it's not unprecedented that an alternate was needed. I think year 2, the alternate competed. It was either year, what was it from LaSalle? Was it the year 1 or
Yeah.
year 2? I think it was year 2. So it is not unprecedented. And then I think in 2020 we used our alternate, but we knew that before Friday. So it has happened a significant, percentage of the time. So I don't know what I'm hoping for, Jackson. It'd be cool if you compete, but that would mean someone got sick. So I don't know what I'm rooting. I don't know what I'm allowed to say I'm rooting for. So I'll just say that.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for the advice.
You're welcome. So we are going to watch a portion of each of your performances from a previous round. I'm not going to tell you the rounds we're going to watch. I want to see your reactions live in real time. So first, we're going to watch, Ben, your cross-examination from the Play-In Championship a couple of weeks ago. Have you watched this round back yet?
Yeah, I've watched it a few times. I think probably like I won't say how many because I think it might be an embarrassing amount, but I've watched it a few times now.
When this was being live streamed, were there a lot of people back home watching rooting?
My parents, it was my mom's birthday that day, so they were off at brunch, which I was really upset about because I couldn't go see them, but they watched it the second that it finished and they were done. But I think like my girlfriend and a few friends were watching. All of like the South Carolina mock trial people were coming back from Florida's charity tournament and were watching like in the car while they drove, which was really sweet. So I think a few people got it.
So this is a case based on Ocean's 11, the prosecution of Danny Ocean, the defendant based on George Clooney's character. And this is your cross-examination as the defense attorney of the lead investigator.
Good evening, Special Agent Grimes.
Good afternoon.
I want to begin by talking about something you mentioned on direct exam.
She corrected you on the time zone thing there, Ben.
She did.
Did that throw you off at all?
Like, well, okay, not a great start.
Examination. Because, Special Agent, you'd agree with me that your first arrest in this case, it was of a man named Clark Doig, right?
Yes, that's correct. He's the one that testified to having 10 other people involved.
Where are you, Ben?
The Library of Alexandria is what confession said. I'm at my coach's office. He has like this really cool like boardroom that just has a bunch of law books in it. So that's where we did it.
Definitely a good background.
Yeah.
I want to clarify that, ma'am, because when you first arrested Mr. Doig, he didn't immediately say there were 10 people involved, right?
That's correct. After I questioned.
So you're looking down at something there. Are you just like, because of the prep period, you're a little unsure of yourself on the content and looking down at notes, or what are you looking at?
I had written down on a legal pad the exact quote that she had said on direct because the pocket that I had written was not the pocket I was saying currently. Like I threw out half this cross because the evidence of what Doig said on direct examination got in. I thought I was going to be able to keep it out. And when it got in, I was like, I have to address it because I made such a big deal about it on objections. So I had like exactly what she had written down or said written down on my legal pad. And I was just making sure I didn't misquote it.
And he confessed to the crime.
Well, I want to be clear, ma'am. You didn't just question him. You told Mr. Doig that you would go easy on him if he told you who else he was working with.
That's true.
It was only after you told Mr. Doig you would go easy on him if he told you the co-contributors to that robbery that he told you that there were 10 other people.
That's correct. He gave us the names of 9 others who have pled guilty, as well as the defendant, Danny Ocean.
Now, it's true, Agent, that over the next 2 months, you made 9 more arrests relating to that robbery, right?
That's exactly right.
But not a single one of those 9 other people told you that Danny Ocean was involved in this robbery at all.
That's exactly right, sir. Like you saw in that trial transcript, Peter Jones calls them his old friends. They all refused to name any of the other co-conspirators until that hearing.
So, Special Agent, that's a yes to my question. All of the other 9 people that you arrested did not tell you that Danny Ocean was involved in this robbery.
That's right. They refused to name any conspirators.
Well, let's talk about some other evidence that you found. Ms. Warshak, can we get exhibit number 3 up on the screen? Special Agent, you'd agree with me that you used this exhibit during your investigation, right?
Of course.
Did you make a mistake there? I think you're muted.
When the screen started sharing, it went full screen and I couldn't see like either my face or the exhibit. And I like stumbled for a second, but I remember like all these like little stumbles that I had, which is really funny.
You talked a lot about it on direct examination.
I believe I mentioned that the rooms are all adjacent. That's right.
Now, you'd agree with me that there's some differences between Mr. Ocean's reservations and the reservation for the 10 people you arrested.
That's correct. They use a different credit card. They check in on a different date, and they also made the reservation at a different time.
Well, let's walk through those differences for the members of the jury. Ma'am, the 10 people who pled guilty to this crime, they used a credit card ending in 1002, correct?
We weren't actually able to declassify what numbers were under those asterisks. We know that they all did end in a 1002. That's right.
Exactly, ma'am. The credit cards the criminals used, they ended in a 1002, true?
That's true.
But Miss Ocean, she used a completely different credit card, right?
That's right. She booked at a different time.
Ma'am, the 10 people.
So Ben, what do you notice that you're doing differently in a cross like this that's prepared on 24 hours versus one that you would do, for works?
Differently. I feel like I was a lot more animated than I usually am. Like, I think I'm pretty animated on cross regardless, but I think my mindset going into that final round was like, go big or go home. Like, I'm going to make every point that I make seem like the most important point in the entire trial. And so I think that was the biggest thing, is I just like over exaggerated a lot of points that I think worked in my favor, probably.
What people may not realize is even though this was the championship, it was your first time doing this side.
Yeah.
Because it worked out that you and Lanaya had done opposite sides in the morning. Was that difficult?
It was a little nerve-wracking, that's for sure. Going into the competition, we felt so much better about our P theory and our P content than we did about our defense theory and defense content. So going D round 2 in like the finals against Lanaya, who was amazing, was a little bit nerve-wracking, but we did a lot of like editing to our content in that 3-hour break from the end of round 1 to the start of round 2. So we felt better going into it.
As a Top Gun competitor and then as a coach for my students at Top Gun, the toughest round is always round 2, because it's when you're least confident on the content and it's the first time you have to flip.
Yeah.
So this is the equivalent of that. And it's impressive. You were super steady, on this cross. Did you feel like you had it memorized better than anything else, or were you just sort of feeling it?
Well, that first pocket was completely off the rip. We didn't write it. I just felt like I had to address it. And then I felt like I was pretty well memorized on the rest of the cross. The cross of the investigator, I'm just used to doing those types of crosses. So it came out a lot more naturally than the cross of the defendant in the first round.
Who pled guilty to this crime, they checked in on the 28th.
That's correct. But Miss Ocean was there a week earlier.
Exactly. Miss Ocean, she didn't check in on the 28th, did she?
That's right.
And you know that each of these people, each of the criminals that you have arrested, they all made their reservation on May 10th.
Yes, that's right.
Miss Ocean, she didn't.
True.
Ma'am, the only similarity between Miss Ocean's reservation and the 10 people you arrested are the checkout dates, right?
The cross pocket coming up is very, very silly. This was something that we were not sure we wanted to do, but I was just like, why not? It's really, really funny.
I don't remember.
I was
what
going
it
to
was.
applaud you for the choices that you made leading up to this point. These are some good choices because she front loaded you on a lot of the stuff that you were going to do, and I think it's so good for the members of the jury to hear all the points. I mean, you're not overperforming, in my opinion. I think you're just giving us what we need to hear because she's telling us all the information you're about to ask, but you ask it again, and so it kind of hammers down that point. That's really good.
I think witness control in this setting when you're not very confident on your content and still being able to like you're trying to think about the words, but you have to also think about performance and being slow and witness control and listening to the witness. And it's really hard to do those other things that you sort of take for granted when you don't know your content super well. So I thought the fact that you were able to witness control on this cross was really impressive.
That's correct, as well as the adjacent room numbers.
Well, let's talk about someone who has the same similarity. Man, there's a lot of names on this list, aren't there?
That's true.
You'd agree with me that Matthew Affleck, he had a room at the New York hotel.
Is this the part?
Yeah.
That's right. 3812, like you've circled.
Let's compare Matthew Affleck to another robber that you've arrested. Ms. Warshak, can we highlight one of those? Thank you. Ma'am, you'd agree with me that just like Miss Ocean, Mr. Affleck, he reserved his room with a different credit card than those who pled guilty.
Yes, that's true.
Just like Miss Ocean, he made his reservations on a different day than the 10 who pled guilty.
Yes, that's right.
And ma'am, just like Miss Ocean, Mr. Affleck has a room right next to one of those robbers.
That's true. His room isn't in the middle of all of them, like Miss Ocean's was. But that's right.
Ma'am, you know that they both checked in, Mr. Affleck and the robbers, on the same day.
I think they checked in a different date.
Out on the same day. I read it wrong, the exhibit.
Wait, I missed it. Say it again.
So I accidentally said that they checked in on the same day, and hold on, I have to get closer. The robbers all checked in on the 28th, and Affleck checked in on the 2nd of July. So
Right.
I was trying to draw the distinction that like the robbers checked in on different dates, but Affleck and Ocean checked in on different dates as well. Like that's what I was trying to got
Right.
in my head.
Yes,
I like
they
the
checked
pocket,
out.
though. I didn't think it was silly in any way. I think it's fun.
Well, the problem was, as we're going to see in a second, is the statement from the other co-conspirator that's it, where he says the defendant did it, came in, and if it doesn't come in, this part hits a lot harder.
On the 5th.
Ma'am, you told us that you arrested Miss Ocean. Did you arrest Matthew Affleck 6 months after this investigation as well?
Well, no, sir, of course not. We didn't have one of the co-conspirators naming Matthew Affleck as one of the people involved in the heist.
Yeah, a really excellent point by
Yes.
her. Like she really got me at that point, but I was already too deep in the hole to just like back out of the cross pocket and move on.
I will bet you that at least a couple of the judges really liked it anyway.
I hope so.
Because the point is still made,
Yeah.
right? But it's hard when you're on short prep to keep all that stuff straight.
And now that we talked about the evidence you do have, let's talk about the evidence that you don't. Because, Agent, you actually spoke to Miss Ocean before this trial.
Yes, that's correct. She agreed to sit down with me for an interview.
You asked Miss Ocean if she was involved in this.
Yes, I did.
She said no.
That's true.
You asked Miss Ocean where she was at 10 p.m. on July 4th.
Yes, she told me she was playing cards at a blackjack table.
Exactly. She said she was playing $20 blackjack table, or $20 blackjack, right?
That's correct.
You're just tired, right?
Exhausted at this point.
It's like people don't realize like it is like there's one thing. It's one thing to be tired. It's another thing to be so tired you can't even like speak, and that's how you feel after this 24-hour prep. It is grueling, especially like I said before in the afternoon, like impossible.
Yeah.
It is
Man,
also
you
so
were actually-
hard to compete on Zoom. Like, not only don't you have the excitement of like being in a courtroom in the same way you will at TBC, and you haven't I hadn't competed on Zoom since my freshman year, like a full year ago.
Did you guys find that adjustment to going back to Zoom for this tournament difficult?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Did you do a lot of prep to sort of gear yourself up for it?
Well, I got the call the day before the play, and so I couldn't do too much prep, but I at least got on a Zoom and like worked on demos and stuff like that.
Yeah, we did our like preparation during the thing by like running stuff on Zoom and seeing how it looked, but there wasn't a ton of time between when you got the call to like when you were actually doing the tournament.
Able to confirm that's exactly where Miss Ocean was when this robbery took place.
No, that's not true.
Well, let's break that down, man. Miss Ocean told you she was playing a $20 blackjack table. We talked about that already, right?
She did tell me that, yes.
She told you she was wearing a blue.
I like that you just kind of owned it though. You're like, no, that's how you say it. You playing a blackjack table. That's a thing.
Well, like my coach Chance, he always has the same thing about, especially about online mock trial. He's like, if you mess up, just go with it. Like, don't revert back and try to fix the words. Just let them come out of your mouth and keep going, because it is more likely that the judges will recognize when you try to fix a word than when you just flow through it and pretend like you didn't just make a verbal mistake.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. You gotta just keep moving.
Yeah. Baseball cap. That's true.
Right, along with sunglasses.
Exactly, man. So you looked at the security footage of the blackjack table, right?
I did. I looked through a lot of footage.
You found a person wearing a blue baseball cap?
That's right, with sunglasses as well.
A
I
person
did note that they, excuse me.
I apologize, ma'am. Continue.
I was going to add that I did note that they had similar builds, but I couldn't see the face.
Exactly. Someone wearing a blue baseball cap with sunglasses in the same build as Miss Ocean.
Yes, that's right.
Ma'am, I want to be clear. You have no video footage of Miss Ocean in that vault.
You're right.
You have no fingerprints that put Miss Ocean in that vault.
No, we have no fingerprints from the vault.
You have no DNA evidence whatsoever that places Miss Ocean anywhere near that vault.
That's right. We don't have DNA evidence from any of the conspirators.
But what you do have is a person the same size as Miss Ocean, wearing what Miss Ocean told you she was wearing at the place Miss Ocean told you she would be. True?
That is true.
I love
But we
this
were never
question.
able to confirm that that was actually Miss Ocean.
Let's talk about another.
That was a good question.
That was such a good question. Oh man. Like,
I mean,
Yeah,
it's a risky question because it's not obviously tight, but it sounds good.
It's like a compound question, but it was a good summarization question that I figured that if she fought me on it, I could just move on and the point would be made.
Piece of evidence you don't have. Agent, your theory of the case is that Miss Ocean and her colleagues made off with $160 million from that casino, right?
That's correct.
160 million in cash.
That's right. I watched it on the footage.
Man, you'd agree with me, $160 million. That's a lot of money.
Certainly, sir.
Not something you could deposit in a bank without raising any red flags, right?
Objection, Your Honor, to a lack of foundation. May I be heard?
No need. Sustained. Sorry about that, Ben.
I knew it was coming.
Miss Ocean, you'd agree with me that you arrested the defendant just hours after the robbery.
Miss Ocean, I'm sorry.
You'd agree with me you arrested Miss Ocean just hours after the robbery, right?
No, that's not correct.
She was arrested for violating her parole on July 5th.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about for the robbery. That's correct. Yes.
Man, when Miss Ocean was arrested, they didn't find a duffel bag full of money, did they?
No, sir, they didn't.
When you searched her hotel, you didn't find any cash.
No.
When you searched her car, you didn't find any money.
The only money we were able to recover was from that one conspirator, Clark Doig.
So to be clear, Agent Grimes, you found no direct evidence that Miss Ocean even touched the money that was stolen from that casino.
We didn't find any physical evidence because we didn't recover the money.
Thank you, Agent. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Pretty good ending for you there.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were in total control of the round at that point?
I felt the objections on the Grimes direct, I felt really, really, really good about. Like going through that direct, there was a lot of lack of foundation, something that in the previous round, I had been dinged for by the judges. They said that like you got to make sure your cop direct is as tight as possible because there's foundation objections that can come from literally anywhere. And I felt really good about the objection. So going into the direct devotion, I felt pretty good about the round.
We in an earlier episode with Danielle Jacoby and Divya Kumar, we graded your celebration. Did you think that they were fair when they graded you?
I liked the part where you said that if I had broken into tears, that would have been really funny. But I think their assessment was pretty accurate. A little split decision between me and Michael.
If you win next weekend, you think you'll cry?
Probably not. I think I'll be pretty happy, but I don't think I'd start sobbing in the middle of the constitutional courtroom, which I imagine it'll be.
Well, I think you should. I think that's probably the only. If you did that kind of celebration for winning the play-in, I mean, your celebration for winning the whole thing would have to be
even bigger,
significantly more pronounced. So you have a couple days to think about that.
I think you have to do something with the sword. Work that into the celebration, like some tricks or something.
So I'll tell you, the sword came to my house a couple days ago, and it's sharp. Like I called Justin. I'm like, "Are you sure we're supposed to have this?" He's like, "Yeah, that's the sword." I'm like, "I don't know. It had like a danger sharp object on the outside of the box, and I was like pretty nervous to take it out. So good luck getting that through security."
Is that another wink wink to the alternate sharp sword?
I probably shouldn't bring it that on Friday then. I don't want to give you any ideas. So Josiah, we're gonna watch something that you did. Any guesses?
I literally can't think of anything that's on the internet except for something from freshman year. So
Something from freshman year. Well, there is something on the internet. You're right about that, but it is not from your freshman year.
ooh, all right.
I'm so excited.
We're gonna watch your
Oh
first
my
round
God.
against my guy Will Mueller at Gladiator 2021, and I gave it away. I'm wearing the Gladiator 2021 shirt with your names on it, both of you. Not you, Ben, but Jackson and Josiah. Come on. I'm trying to. You got to pay attention to these things next
This
week.
is epic.
I am so sad that this is the video we're watching.
Oh, it's too late.
You're like snazzy, Josiah. That's pretty sick.
Have you seen this round back since it happened a couple of years ago? This is 2020, right? This is not 2021.
This is 2020 from my high school Gladiator.
This is 2020, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have not seen this?
I feel like I watched it maybe like 2 years ago in a piece. I don't think I've seen the full thing.
All right. Well, we're gonna watch the full cross. This is the Tiger King case. Like I said, there is little baby Will Mueller on the bottom left there as a sophomore, and I'm excited to see it. I've never seen this, so we're all watching it for the first time, I guess, other than Josiah. So
Wild.
where are you in this video?
Oh gosh. I think I'm at my church's community center.
Okay, that would not have been my first guess.
Where did you go to high school, Josiah?
So I went to Valley View High School in Moreno Valley, California.
I didn't. Were you in California or somewhere else?
Yeah, I was in California.
Okay, cool.
What's the pin on your jacket there?
I don't even know. Oh, you know what? It's from County. They gave out the golden gavels for, I want to say they were participatory, maybe.
so you want your participation pin?
I think it was honestly on the jacket.
It was already on the jacket. You just forgot to take it off.
Honestly, yeah, I think I remember that.
Okay. It's a pretty big pin. It's kind of hard to miss. I don't know if I'm buying that.
Life is life. Maybe I saw it, didn't care to take it off. Good afternoon, Agent. Can you see and hear me okay?
Yes, I can see and hear you very well.
You started your investigation by searching the Greater Tallahassee Elephant Park, correct?
Yes, I searched that elephant park after he was reported missing.
No, you weren't able to find any blood there, were you?
No, we
Can
don't
I
believe
just
there
shout
was
out-
any blood.
This is Hermela Gatacho. She was one of the best witnesses in this entire tournament, and I feel like she's back on the college circuit. I think I've seen her name around. Phenomenal competitor.
Yeah, where I've seen her name too. Where is she? She's really good.
I want to say Columbia. I want to say that, but that could be wrong.
Can we also just roast Will for a second? Like, he's like, how can I have my full face in the video, but as much space above my head as possible?
But as we believe that the evidence collected suggests Don Clark was injected with a poison.
Right, but there was no signs of struggle at the Elephant Park either, right?
No, we don't believe that there was a struggle in this case.
And no signs of violence either?
No.
You also became aware that the chemical carfentanil was present on my client's property, right?
Yes, that's correct. It's an elephant tranquilizer.
Right. This elephant tranquilizer was kept in a separate storage facility from my client's home on the property?
That's correct, but we learned that
Josiah, your initial thoughts watching yourself.
What am I doing with my hands? I don't understand why I'm in this like diamond position or something, whatever's going on there. Like, and they never go to my sides ever, and I'm at this weird angle, and I haven't heard a single bit of my cross.
It must be the golden gavel pin. It's making you do that.
Honestly, fair
Bassett
enough.
would have had access since it was her elephant park.
Is that still a yes? It was kept separate.
It's like so obvious that this is like very early in the pandemic because like you're in a classroom and we can barely hear you. There's Will's head is like so low on the screen. The judge is like very close to the camera. Like nobody's figured out Zoom yet.
It's so bad, dude. Wow. From home on my client's property.
Yes, that's correct. It has to be kept quite locked up since it's a very toxic drug.
Let's show you what's been previously admitted as Exhibit 19. And you already testified to this today. You recognize it as the carfentanil log, right?
Yes, that's correct.
I want to direct your attention to the indicated portion.
Can I just say I made this exhibit and it took so long to make each entry with all the different fonts and colors. So you're welcome. You guys are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
This
You
is
see, the
such a
last
trip
time
down
that my
memory
client-
lane.
Yeah. Remember this case? That was a fun time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Tiger King, good times, March through July of 2020.
Access the carfentanil, according to the log, was August 1st.
Yes, that's correct. We don't believe Miss Bassett would record her use of a drug that she killed her husband with, of course.
Objection, Your Honor. The last portion of the answer was non-responsive.
May I be heard, Your Honor?
Oh, boy.
Let's do it.
I believe you're on mute, Your Honor.
Had to get unmute. Go ahead. Yes, please respond.
Your Honor, I believe Agent Branham is entitled to a brief response.
May I be heard, Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Jones, go ahead.
The last portion of the answer was a brief response. However, the portion after that, indicating whether the FBI's investigation Miss Bassett would include whether or not she killed her husband with the carfentanil log, that portion of the answer was not responsive.
I'll sustain the objection as to the very last portion of her answer as being non-responsive, and but the rest of the answer will remain in evidence.
Motion to strike that last portion, Your Honor.
Motion to strike just that last portion is granted.
Is he wearing a
Agent,
robe?
A what?
Is he wearing a robe? Like a judge's robe? Like the presiding judge?
Yes.
He absolutely is.
So that year, me and Justin shipped robes to every judge.
Are you serious?
No,
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I don't know where he got the robe. But interestingly enough, this is actually not a joke. At Trial by Combat, when it's in Philly, at the Klein Institute, we have judges' robes like in the building for when we have tournaments. So I think all of our presiders will actually have robes. Well, I'm not going to promise that because I may not make the presider. It'd be really sort of weird if like a second year law student was in like a robe. So maybe not that, but for the final probably. But yeah, that was bring your own robe that year.
You really got me.
August
That would
1st would be
Yeah. I'm trying to keep you guys on your toes for next weekend. This is all practice.
2 weeks prior to Don Clark's disappearance, yes?
Yes, that's correct.
I want to turn your attention to the night of August 18th. You became aware throughout the course of your investigation that a text was sent from Don Clark's phone to my clients.
That's correct. Right after that text was sent, his SIM card was likely destroyed.
Excuse me, Agent, I didn't hear that last part.
Yes, this is the last text that Don Clark ever sent. His cell phone wasn't active afterwards.
This is Exhibit 20. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Now, this text said going out for a while, right?
That's correct.
And it was sent to my client's cell phone?
Yes, we found that the exact minute afterwards is when his phone was never heard from again and we couldn't locate it. That indicated to us that his SIM card was likely destroyed.
So how would you say, jokes aside, how would you say you've gotten better over the last 3 years? What have you gotten better at?
Number one, I don't think I'm processing a single thing that she's saying. I feel like she's giving me a lot of context for the answer. So one, I guess, is I'm not listening because I can probably play off of some of that. And then two, I don't use non-responsive as my first method of control on the outset, I guess. Learn some better, more effective witness control techniques, and I don't know, signposting.
That was an epic objection battle between you and Will, though.
Okay, can you?
wonder who they wonder who they gave the evidence check mark to in that one.
I have no clue, not a single.
I think the core elements of your best skills are there. You can see you're like an excellent performer. You're a unique performer in terms of just like you can tell you're having fun, which is, I think, your best skill is that it's obvious that you're having fun. And people want to listen to you, but obviously you've honed those things and you've gotten a lot better, and you don't fold your hands when you cross anymore. At least I guess we'll find out if you do. I don't really know.
Hey, nervousness can be a terrible thing. Right. I want to show you what's been previously admitted as Exhibit 31. Agent, 3 minutes later after that text was sent, that's when the van departs from the Greater Tallahassee Elephant.
That's correct.
Who was your coach for this tournament?
So I didn't really have a coach too much. I had gotten advisement before the tournament started from one of the judges who had judged me in my high school competition, I think. And I don't think we actually had a coach for the weekend. I think me and my second chair just kind of went through it. Afterwards, I'm showing you what's been previously admitted as Exhibit 22. Agent, that's an excerpt from the GPS data that you pulled, right?
That's correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Agent, but my client's cell phone pings off the nearest cell tower to the Greater Tallahassee Elephant Park at midnight, right?
Well, 12 a.m. of August 18th, 2017, that would be the time that day started. Midnight would have gone into 12 a.m. of August 19th, so no.
Excuse me, Agent, but it does say it was at the park for 168 straight hours starting on that day, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So while
He does not seem like a high school witness. She's really good.
This was the toughest, all throughout county, all throughout anything in high school, this was the hardest cross I ever had to do. And I'll say it because I had to cross her twice in this tournament. And it was so bad because she got me on multiple points. And this exhibit I completely just read wrong. And she was like, she's right there with it. And that's crazy. The van is en route to the swamp, excuse me. It stayed at the park.
That's correct.
Well, then turn your attention to Costa Rica. You became aware throughout the course of your investigation that Don Clark made frequent trips to Costa Rica.
That's correct.
And I'm showing you what's been previously admitted as Exhibit 4. Excuse me, Agent. Sorry, previously admitted as Exhibit 5.
I don't see that exhibit on the screen right now.
1 second, Agent. Technical.
She got you. She's right. It isn't on the screen.
I'm saying.
You hate to see it.
She didn't even give you a second to breathe. She just went, it is not up there.
It's like I was fighting for my entire life, bro.
Literally, it wasn't on the screen in 4 seconds. She's like, don't see anything. Sorry.
Difficulties.
No problem.
There it is.
Agent, that's actually an excerpt from Exhibit 4. You recognize that as an excerpt from the letter from Mandy Tuminelli, Don Clark's attorney?
Yes, that's correct. We found that Miss Bassett actually requested the.
You guys have any idea what the significance of Mandy Tuminelli is? I don't think it says it on the screen, but this is a document written by one of the like a lawyer in the case who we named Mandy Tuminelli. You do. Josiah shaking his head to redeem himself for the exhibit not going on the screen quickly enough. What is the reference?
Oh no. I
don't know.
knew that. I knew that part. I didn't know who Mandy Tuminelli was.
Any guesses?
Is it a reference to a former AMTA competitor?
It is. Do you know who Mandy Tuminelli is?
I don't know. No clue.
Okay. Well, Amanda Tuminelli was a member of the really good NYU teams in like 2010, 11, like that range. And then she won law school nationals in 2013. So she is a legendary competitor that is not talked about too much. And she was Nick Ramos's coach when he won Combat 18, I'm pretty sure. So that's the reference. You guys got to study up for next weekend. There's going to be a quiz.
I thought it was a twist, like a really terrible twist on Dennis Tonicelli's name. That's what I thought at first. And I was like, that's just way off.
No, I do love Dennis, Drexel's own Dennis Tonicelli, the man. But no.
Disappearance clause.
He was in the play-in case though, I think. Yeah.
He was listed in the robbers and what they did.
Yeah, and he was also in last year's combat case. He was the bartender, I think. It was Dennis T.
Which was very suspicious to us as the FBI.
As the indicated portion indicates there, the reason that was cited for that disappearance clause was because of those men in Costa Rica, right?
Yes, that's correct. But we didn't find any evidence that there was anyone in Costa Rica that actually wanted to hurt Don Clark. We found this to just kind of be a way to explain away Don Clark's disappearance on Miss Bassett's end.
That remains a yes to my question. The reason the disappearance clause was cited was because of those men in Costa Rica.
Yes, that's what Miss Bassett said, but we did not find any evidence backing up her story on that.
Well, if you look to the end of that indicated portion, Agent, Mr. Clark actually said this clause was fine.
That's correct.
He didn't disagree.
That's correct.
Agent, I want to jump back into your investigation, directing your attention to what's been previously admitted as Exhibit 5. Now, that's an excerpt from your forensics report, right?
That's correct.
Now, that mud mixture you were talking about, the algae, you actually did not.
I forgot all about all these exhibits. Do you guys have I don't know how well you guys know the combat cases. Do you guys think, is there a combat case that you think was particularly good? What's the best one?
I don't know about a best one. I really did like this case here. I thought it was kind of fun. The way it was just like a thing that happened during the pandemic was this show became popular and then wrote a case about it.
Maybe this is recency bias, but I liked the Capello Augie Shepard case.
Yeah.
I think Jumper Cables added a nice twist. I think that was a good one.
Do you guys have a least favorite one? You get bonus points if you actually answer this question.
My least favorite, I think, probably would be the Tiger King case. I remember it's like 120 pages long, right? Like it's massive.
The 2021 case, which was Jackson's Gladiator playoff year, was longer. It was like the really long one. This one was not 100 pages, I don't think.
Maybe I'm mixing up cases, but I wasn't a huge fan of it, but that's also just because I didn't really like Tiger King. I think that's probably why. But yeah.
Why didn't you like Tiger King?
I don't know. I feel like I had better shows to watch during the pandemic. Things that would. I was really into Dexter at that point, so I didn't really watch, even though it had come out like years ago. I was binging Dexter for like most of the pandemic.
Okay, so you were anti Tiger King. Did you watch it?
Oh, I watched it. I watched it with my friends, like over Netflix party or something, like when we were all quarantined. But I just wasn't really into it.
That is a hot take. Either of you have a least favorite combat case? You won't hurt my feelings.
I've liked a lot of them. I mean, I only really know the ones I've kind of been directly involved in, or like watched when I went to TBC last year. I didn't really like the one I did for Gladiator all that much, just because I hadn't done a lot of civil cases, and there's like a emotional element you kind of have to step around of like a young person getting in a car and crashing. So it's always easier when it's a kind of funny out there criminal case like Tiger King is, or the last year's TBC case.
Yeah, I will take responsibility. I think the 21 civil cases are our least favorite one, me and Justin. Because it just wasn't as like sexy as the other four. And that's partially my fault because I pushed him really hard to do a civil case that year because I felt like it was time. And you can do an interesting civil case, obviously, but that one wasn't as juicy as like the year before and the next year, obviously. Josiah, you like all the cases, right?
I honestly
Smart-
don't
smart
remember. I
man.
was trying. I was trying to remember the earlier ones. I really only remember the 2018. I think that's like the $1 million old man one, right?
$1 million, $1 million old man one. You could describe it that way, yeah.
That's the gist, I think. I don't really remember the other ones too much, but I think the 21 case maybe. I didn't have to ever try that one. I was like, okay, but I thought it was a tough topic.
I can't wait to tell Justin you call it the $1 million old man. You mean by that is the fact there was like an insurance policy or life insurance policy that for like $1 million if the guy died.
Yeah,
And
right.
he was
he
old.
not old? I think he was like,
yeah, he was.
70.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was old.
I feel like I got the gist of the case. Like,
Yes.
That's a good name for it.
Nailed it.
All aboard.
There was one combat case that I particularly liked that I don't know what year it was. It might have been honestly a Gladiator case. I don't think it was. It was the tweeting one, like the fake assault.
That was 19.
19. Yeah, I really liked that case. I practiced prep with that case, and I thought it was a really difficult case to like work around, especially for the witness portrayals, because obviously one of the witnesses is like a terrible human being.
Right.
Hard.
Do you guys witness much?
I do. I witness every fall, so I've done that for the past 3 years. And then the only time I witnessed in the winter was actually I'm lying. I witnessed my freshman and sophomore year on our A team in winter, so I've witnessed quite a bit.
I don't consider myself a witness, but I witnessed once in the fall, and then I somehow ended up as a witness at Nats this last year. That was an interesting time.
I also don't consider myself a witness. I like have filled in for people who like if one of our teams is going to a competition, someone like gets sick, I filled in. So I probably witnessed 3 or 4 times, like 3 or 4 competitions over the past 4 years.
Who do you guys think is the best witness in the field? Is it I mean, I think is it chalk to say Travis, I guess.
That's the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I feel like last year there were a bunch of people who were really good witnesses in the field. Like I think Rhea is Rhea Lakaraju last year, like really good witness. Is there someone that I'm just overlooking who's a really good witness that's in the field this year?
Michael Wilson is an excellent expert.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's really
I would guess that the easiest witness for a good attorney to play is an expert, right?
Yeah.
Or like a defendant.
Yeah, last year there was Allie, who's just like I saw him witness this year and just phenomenal.
Right.
Like, one of the best experts I've seen.
Right. I forgot about it. Yeah, obviously him too. I forgot about him last year.
Definitely missing a big one in Taj from Northwestern.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Taj, right. Yeah. Taj, obviously. He won an All-American this year as a witness. Yeah.
I think Travis, Michael Wilson, and Taj are the 3 All-American witnesses currently. No, Elena is also an All-American witness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe this is a pretty good witness field then. I'm going to withdraw that statement. Anyway, back to Josiah's cross.
Test for that algae at my client's elephant park, did you?
Yes, that's correct. You see, when we did the forensics testing on the algae, we actually found that the sample had 2 species. We found that these 2 species were very unlikely to see together, and that it was highly unlikely that the algae could have been found anywhere but Big Gum Swamp.
Agent, the fact remains that despite the algae being so rare, you can't tell us whether or not it's present at my client's elephant park because you didn't test for it.
We can't tell you for sure, but all the evidence we collected determined that that was highly unlikely.
So that's a yes.
That's correct.
You also didn't test any swamps that may have been closer to my client's elephant park, right?
That's correct. Again, we found that these 2 species of algae, they were very rare to see together. So the most likely outcome was that it was from Big Gum Swamp. Any other outcome seemed highly unlikely.
But again, you did not test.
That's correct.
I want to turn your attention to Lisa Clark. You became aware of her throughout the course of your investigation?
Yes, we learned about his ex-wife, Lisa Clark.
And Ms. Clark actually didn't cooperate with your investigation fully, did she?
That's correct.
She wouldn't submit to an interview?
That's correct.
She didn't allow you to search her property?
That's correct. We didn't find any compelling evidence that indicated that Lisa Clark actually wanted to hurt Dawn Clark. We didn't find any physical evidence against her or any evidence that she would have something to gain, like Ms. Bassett.
Well, that remains a yes. She did not allow you to search any of her property.
We didn't have enough evidence to get a warrant to search her property. There wasn't enough compelling evidence against Lisa Clark.
When you asked Ms. Clark to search her property, she told you that Dawn Clark deserved to die.
That's when we asked her for an interview, and we found that given the amount of evidence we collected, this was most likely just a hyperbole, something angry she said about her ex-husband. Again, we didn't find any compelling evidence that she actually wanted to hurt Dawn Clark.
That was still a yes to my question. She told you that Dawn Clark.
Why did you randomly do the motion to strike for the one and then never again?
I promise you, I was just not in the headspace. Like, I promise you, I'm not listening.
Like, what was going through your mind? You were like, this one is a motion to strike, but the others, and you won the motion to strike, didn't you?
I did. And I can't remember what high school me was literally thinking, but like, I feel like I'm just not listening. I'm just trying to get the questions out there and like finish my content. Because as you can see, I'm like throwing every single theory at the wall. There's not one theory here. It's the ex-wife, it's Costa Rica, it's everything. So I'm not listening.
The kitchen sink.
Deserved to die.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Finally, Agent.
Did you ever use the blackboard during this competition?
Not once. Not once.
That would have been funny.
My client cooperated fully with your investigation, right?
That's correct. However, Ms. Bassett wasn't able to give us any explanations for the evidence we collected against her.
She submitted to all the interviews that you requested.
That's correct, but we didn't get any clear answers from her.
Still yes?
She showed up, yes.
She allowed you to search her property.
That's correct.
Agent, your investigation was never able to recover Dawn Clark's body, was it?
No, again, in my years investigating over 100 cases of kidnappings.
What do you think that is behind the judge's head?
I don't even know.
The cornucopia?
Fish? Yeah, I think fish was the first thing I thought of.
I thought of cornucopia, like it has like fruits and vegetables or something coming out of it.
In the summer?
I don't know. Like just like a painting of one? Who knows?
Maybe he'll move and we'll see.
It's quite common to rule a case a homicide, even if you don't find a body.
So we don't have any evidence today, like an autopsy proving that Dawn Clark died of carfentanil poisoning, do we?
No, again, this is common in my field, and all the evidence pointed that it was the most likely outcome.
We don't have an eyewitness account of Dawn Clark's death.
No, that's correct, we do not. We believe this crime happened in the middle of the night. There wouldn't be people at a swamp in the middle of the night to witness it.
Agent, there's no eyewitness account, yes or no?
That's correct.
And lastly, Dawn Clark's van is a shared van with him and Kara Clark, right? Kara Bassett, excuse me.
That's correct.
So the fingerprints you found of Kara Bassett, those reasonably would have been there because she usually operates the van.
Yes, that's why we didn't solve.
Will and the witnesses' rooms look like one room. They're like the same shade of paint. It looked like they could be sitting next to each other. That Will would look much shorter than her because he's sitting so low to the ground. Do you think he's on like a step stool? Like, what do you think he's sitting on?
Like one of those really small, like kitchen stools.
Yeah, like he's on like a big wheel in his computer. You guys know what big wheels are? No, you guys are too young for that. So there used to be a thing called a big wheel. It was like a plastic bike, and it was very low to the ground, and it was for like toddlers. And every little kid had them when they were like, a toddler. So just
No, I do know these. I have seen one of these before.
Google image it.
We rely on the fingerprints. We had a lot of other evidence that led us to believe Ms. Bassett committed the crime. The fingerprints were just like a cherry on top.
Thank you. Your Honor, nothing further.
Well, Josiah, your thoughts?
That was so rough. It's honestly, I'm glad to get a full picture to see how far I've come, because that's wild.
Yeah, so Emily paid me to use that video so we can lull people into thinking that you haven't improved since then, and they're going to see you next weekend and they're going to be like, man, I should have voted for that guy in the AP poll. Your plan where I was one check mark. How confident were you going in, like, before they made the announcement after the round?
I have a very bad sense of how well I'm actually doing in rounds. Like, any round, I've almost thought most rounds were close, or if a round is close, I think I'm gonna lose it, is pretty much how it goes. So I'm a horrible sense of how well I did. I thought that round was tough, just because like I like the way I was doing mock trial in that, and like I didn't find some objections that I guess could have made, but like I didn't make objections for the sake of making objections. I made some choices in that round that I think inevitably hurt me afterwards, but it was a good round.
Razor thin, and Michael's obviously amazing. And so one check mark on one ballot doesn't obviously get any closer than that. But we are going to watch some Gladiator. And we are going to watch your semifinal round against who else?
The man himself.
Willie Mueller, the king of Gladiator. So is your hair different, Jackson, or is it just a little bit like we have a little more product in it these days?
I think we actually have a little less product in it these days. Back in the day, I don't know.
So it's shorter now.
It's all natural.
So it's not as long now. That's the big difference too.
I think this was after I got it cut, because I have a photo of me in like my state competition where like it was down to here. It was bad. I don't know who let me keep that in my life, but it's bad back in the day during COVID.
I want to watch your opening from this round against Willie in the semifinal of Gladiator. I think this was the year that Gladiator expanded the field pretty significantly.
Yeah, I think so.
And so being the semifinal of this event was like kind of a huge deal, considering how many people you had to be ahead of. This was I watched this round live. Really good trial.
Time you're ready, sir.
Highly recommend it.
She controlled her choices.
What?
No, it's just hard to see. I hate watching myself in any round. So to watch myself 2-3 years ago, whatever this is, it'll be painful.
March 24th, 2019.
What do you think you do differently now?
I think I'm a little like I took a long time to find my style and like who I am as a kind of like mock trialer. So I think this is a bit over the top at the time. And part of that was just because it's Zoom and you want to be engaging. And yeah, I think this was a little too far over the top. And now I like the medium I'm in now.
I don't think it's bad at all. The one thing that it struck me, and not in like a bad way, it just struck me watching this, is you sound a lot like Liz Grant in this opening. Do you think were you like, because she was coaching you were sort of at that time trying to kind of like find yourself and almost do like a Liz impression to some degree?
Well, I think what we were actually going for, because a lot of it was Liz coaching, was to kind of go for like Jack Siegenthaler,
right? Okay.
Like a very Stanford style. I have like my notes of like preparation in the other room, and the word we had that was like, this is the style we're going for, was folksy fervor, which I don't know, that's what we chose. But you can tell it's like not fully natural of like how I really am. It's a little on the other end for me, you know?
You look really, that never really occurred to me now. You look just like Jack.
Yeah.
Very similar. He did well at combat.
He did.
So maybe someone will get sick next Friday.
I got to start preparing.
Jessica Marks is standing outside of her car door. She's got her keys in her right hand and she pauses. She knows that she's been drinking with a friend that night, but she tells herself she's okay to drive. She gets in the car and she gets where she's going. Sonny's rooftop bar in Malibu. Because what the plaintiff didn't mention in their opening statement is that before Miss Marks ever stepped foot.
Did you watch this back, Jackson, after it happened or since it happened?
I don't think I've seen this round back. I have watched the one round I like witnessed as the crier because I thought that was funny. But I think I watched that back.
Can you do a crier?
I can fake cry some of the time, but like I can't do a crier. Like we have one girl on our team, Alex Webb. She just won an All-American who will like torture herself to make herself cry. And it's so impressive. And like I can never do that. So my standards are very high now.
So should me and Justin keep the crier in the case that we currently have or remove it?
I think we take a poll. What do you guys think?
Ben, you seem like you could do a really good cry. Oh no, you told me earlier that you won't cry, even if you win combat.
No, if I win combat, I won't cry, but I will cry to win combat. So
I
keep the crier. I say keep it. I say keep it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, actually, Taj is a really good crier, so maybe take it out.
He's a really good crier. That's cool.
Yeah, I think he was Felder.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
How does he do it? Does he do it like, I'm a big fan of like the crier who's not crying but like trying to hold it together. Crier. Like, I'm a big fan of that crier.
The only reason I know he's a crier is because I saw it on Mock Trial AP. I scrimmaged Taj, I think my sophomore year, but that was the bedbug case, so it wasn't really super crier.
He's not like, I can't remember if I've actually seen him as a crier, but we have scrimmaged Northwestern a few times. And he's not like bawling. I mean, he's bawling, but he's not like crying all out. He does keep it together. It's very impressive.
If you've seen Corellis Bryant do his crier in the 2011 final, best crier ever. And he does a lot of just like holding it together, which is what makes it so good.
In Sonny's rooftop bar, before they served her so much as a drop of alcohol, Miss Marks chose to drink.
So I was obviously rooting for Willie in this round, Jackson. Love you, but Willie's my guy. And I was very nervous for him listening to this opening, because you're such a good presenter. And if you, I mean, you're a great opener. I would imagine that you like opening.
I definitely like opening. I can't say which one I like more. Between opening and closing, they both have their perks, but I do love opening.
And she chose to drive. When she gets to that bar, she makes a set of similar choices. She's underage, but she chooses to drink. When she leaves the bar that night, her friend offers her a ride home in an Uber, but she chooses not to take it. She chose to drink, she chose to drive, but this time, when Miss Marks gets in her car, she doesn't make it. She dies. Good afternoon, members of the jury. My name is Jackson Kunde. And today I represent Sonny's rooftop bar. Today, the plaintiff has to prove to you two things. First,
right there.
Miss Marks.
So I actually forgot a pocket of the open, and I still remember this. Because like that little split second, there's so much fear in like me not remembering what I'm gonna say next.
You can't really tell
what I'm supposed to say is like we have a sympathetic moment to the victim. And that's an important thing in an open when you're the defense. So I remember getting comments after the round. Like I remember I forgot that pocket. And then we get comments after the round. We're like, Yeah, we really didn't see you super sympathetic up until the closing when you had that pocket. I was like, yep, forgot the pocket and open.
So can you like see the wheels turning here? Did you
Think
miss
so.
something? Let's watch it
It's
back.
like a tiny split second.
Today, the plaintiff has to prove.
Like before that.
Yeah, right before that.
Today, I represent Sonny's rooftop ball. Today, the plaintiff
there?
has
The
to
moment,
prove to
yeah.
you two
Okay, I can see it now.
First, that Miss Marks was served while obviously intoxicated. And second, that over-serving contributed to her death. But they won't be able to do that today. Today, we'll call to the stand the owner of Sonny's Rooftop Bar, Sonny Mehta. She'll tell you that Miss Marks was served a reasonable number of drinks and didn't exhibit any of the symptoms of intoxication.
The thing that you do really well here as a high schooler that most law school competitors don't do well is you're very physical. Your gestures are purposeful, and they're meaningful, and the opening pops a little bit more because of how physical it is. Do you make it a point to be physical when you're performing?
Yeah, definitely like all around, but especially when you're on Zoom, it's like so much harder to be engaging, and it's so much easier as a viewer to just like nod off and not really listen. So to like just have more movement on screen is something we definitely went for.
Members of the jury, you won't just have to take her word for it. You'll see a receipt from that night. You'll be able to see which drinks Miss Marks ordered. And you'll hear that none of the other 10 or 12 customers in that bar were concerned for Miss Marks' safety. Now, the defense has also raised what's called an affirmative defense. What that means is we're going to prove Miss Marks contributed, at least in part, to her own death. And to do that, we're going to focus on the choices Miss Marks made that night. The choices she made at the bar, the choices she made before she got to the bar, and the choices she made after. As members of the jury, as devastating as it is, Miss Marks controlled those choices. And it was those choices that contributed to her death. At the end of today's trial, I'll ask you to find Sonny's Rooftop Bar not liable. Thank you.
It's a pretty good opening. Do you remember how you felt at the end of this round? Obviously, it was a very close win for Will. Were you sort of devastated with the result, or super happy to be in the semifinal, which is how I would hope you would feel?
I remember how I felt going into this round, because round 4, I was like going into round 4, I was in the upper half of the bracket, but like not in a position where it was like I was really in contention for a semifinal. So I went into round 4 like, this is my last round of mock trial in high school, just like very grateful. And then like Justin called my name for the semifinal, because I had like swept pretty much my last round before that. So at that point, I was just like happy to be there. I didn't think I'd get another round, so I was very excited, and I did think I'd won the round. So it was tough to not have won the round, but at that point, I didn't care. I was grateful and happy for Will.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really close. I did not know how it was going to shake out. And the other thing I think is it's super cool that we have all this high school footage from Gladiator, because that's such a fun round, you and Will, that hopefully when you guys are seniors and you guys are like the dominant people or some of the dominant people on the anti circuit, it's going to be really cool to have that round and be able to watch it back again. A couple wrap-up questions before I let you guys go. What are you guys doing over the next week to get ready for combat?
I think I'm going to take a look at the just federal rules of evidence again, really get them in my brain in case I have to go, because that's one of the things, like, you don't need a case to know the rules well. That's the main thing, and then just relax, hang out, get excited. Sleep. Yeah.
How about you two?
So I have one scrimmage tomorrow, or I should say 2 scrimmages. We're doing both sides of a case. And then That's pretty much all the prep that we're gonna do. We're obviously gonna debrief that, and then we're gonna come to Philly, have the process refined, and get it done.
So you guys doing like the simulated prep day tomorrow then?
Yeah,
What do you know what case you're using?
2019, maybe.
That's fun. Who are you scrimmaging?
It's like a round robin between gosh, I don't remember who's all there. I want to say Divya from Cincinnati, Rhea Debnoff, myself, Sam from Chicago, and two more that I cannot remember right now.
That's fun. So you guys are simulating the whole prep period, and then when are the actual scrimmages?
On Sunday.
Nice. That's a lot of fun. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I'm doing something pretty similar this weekend, prep period, and then scrimmages with a few other combat competitors. So same thing, like full 24-hour prep, and then competing or like scrimmaging on Sunday, and then debriefing with Chance and Gabby that night, and then probably just relaxing and not stressing too much. Trying to get a lot of sleep next week is what's really important for me.
Do you know what case you're using for that?
Yeah, we're using a gladiator case actually, because a lot of our, like everyone who's in the scrimmage has like like there's no point in prepping a case you've already prepped, or like prepping a case that you've competed with. So I think we're using the gladiator case with the mask and the money. I don't remember what it's called. It's like 2015.
Right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Last thing before I let you go, you guys know the drill. It is prediction time, and the rules are as follows. You may not choose each other. You may only say one name. You can't equivocate. And you may choose yourself for purposes of this question if you feel so confident. Who is going to win Trial by Combat 2023? Jackson, I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it.
Okay. I'm going to pick like a horribly uninteresting answer and go Travis Harper.
That is horribly uninteresting. Why Travis?
I mean, he's just so well-rounded. And I watched, I mean, first of all, he was in a semifinal last year. He's been doing it. This will be his third year. And he's just like such an engaging presence that I know he'll come in with good content, but even if he doesn't, he's got me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Travis is going to be the pick for lots of people. And so a lot of hype for Travis. Hopefully, for him, he can deliver on that, and he's certainly experienced and good enough. Josiah.
I will say, I think she's already been picked, but I gotta show my West Coast love. I'm going with Elena.
So you were the second person to pick Elena. Why Elena? Divya picked her last episode.
Yeah, I actually got the chance to scrimmage her earlier, maybe last month, and I just know I know how well she witnesses, so I think she's gonna do really well on that front of the activity. And then in the one-on-one format, I think she's a very good contraster, which is really, really good for like standing out in terms of this direct clash of styles. So I think that's really cool. And I just think she's a great competitor. I think she's gonna do really well.
Ben.
I think Moray Edwards is gonna win. And I watched her. Our B team went to the Greenville Orcs in South Carolina, and our A team went to Arlington. So I went up with B team to watch their rounds, and they hit Furman round 3, and she is just like show-stoppingly incredible. Like I saw her in some combat rounds last year because I was in LA. And then like watching her at Orcs, watching her close, she is just so good. She has the experience. Was witnessing a lot this year. Like I think she's going to dominate.
And I think you guys will maybe know better than me. I think she's also a Gladiator alum. Am I right about that?
Yeah, she is. I'm scrimmaging her this weekend, and we couldn't do one of the Gladiator cases because she had done it.
Yeah, another person with a little bit of a target on her this year, and so she's earned that, and she's going to have to deal with the pressure that comes with that. But I think she's also a solid pick. I'm really excited for next week, and I'm getting super pumped. I mean, Justin and I are working on some of the last minute preparations that I think you guys are going to enjoy. And he is flying in on Thursday, and we've got lots of plans. And so I'm super, super excited to see you guys Friday morning in the building. See you in a few days.
Thanks so much.